So hey, I'm here with Ben Tilton. Ben Tilton is the SVP of Ops and Digital Product at NewStand, which is a lot of title in one, Ben. But I'm excited that you're here, and I've invited Ben to just talk about what NewStand's been doing over the last 6 to 8 weeks or so, because I've been seeing a lot of things NewStand's been doing. I think it's pretty interesting, and would just like to kind of get in your mind and understand how you guys thought through some of the challenges and how things have been working out. So welcome, Ben.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's awesome to be here.
So first of all, for people that aren't familiar with Newsstand, what is Newsstand?
Yeah, what is Newsstand? What was Newsstand? What Newsstand will be? It's all
Yeah,
it's
let's
all
start out
a
with what was Newsstand? What was your basic business model, or what was the premise of Newsstand? If we were to go back 8 weeks.
yeah. I think we were trying to reinvent the old school convenience store ultimately in a much more modern, technologically integrated way. So we focus on community and experience a lot, um, almost as much as the products we sell. So between our stores, our app, and now our online shop, we'd integrate live experiences as well and make it very much about community. And there's a point system that kind of is overlaid across everything. But the goal and mission that the founders set out for is to make everyone's day a little bit better.
Very, very nice. So make everybody's day a little bit better, and you did that through physical convenience store locations,
Yep. So
as well
our
as an app experience that people could participate in.
yeah. So up until now, our locations, not very quarantine friendly. We are in office lobbies where a big focus is and continues to be airports and on the New York City ferries. So we're shut down across the board with the exception of a few airport locations. And our app connected all of those locations. There's a wallet within the app, and there's curated content that is published twice a day. So ultimately, the thought is if like Apple, Google, Amazon are trying to own the in-home experience, once people leave their home, we could start to create that connection with them where they'd be part of our ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a smart sort of progressive looking business model saying, how do we create, an experience or update the convenience store experience, but do it in a way that links people together and builds community. But like you said,
Yeah.
where your locations don't sound quarantine friendly at all. And even the idea of linking community together through trying to bring people together live doesn't make a lot of sense either. So,
Yeah.
I mean, when did you guys kind of realize we have a little bit of a problem? Did you see it just a couple of weeks in advance, or did it kind of surprise you? How were you guys thinking about the quarantine?
Yeah. I mean, I think like many companies, people, the quarantine snuck up on us like everyone else. I think I'll give our team a lot of credit. Like everyone was super communicative, which I think goes to show just how strong a team we have. But ultimately, everyone is we've always been very agile, nimble when it comes to thinking through new ideas. But everyone really united around like, how do we take advantage of this time away from, it takes a lot of work to operate all those locations we have too. So in a way, there was some freed up time to refine our product, whether that be the app or build out new products. We tried to think through like, we have this community of users. How do we continue to engage with them? Luckily, our hardcore users were still very much logging into the app and reading through content. And one of the things we've been aspiring to do for some time is find additional ways to engage with them. So um, one of the first things we did kind of harkened back to when everyone was in college, and we started to take the inventory we did have and curate it into bundles and start to take our sales team and go sell care packages and reach out to different employers that wanted to connect with their teams. And, once again, under the lens of day improvement, you're connecting people with their employees, just like we're connecting with each other. And ultimately, at the very least, we've been able to move through some inventory, but it's actually been a pretty nice lift through the month of April. We did over $50,000 just in care packages. So that was kind of like step one.
Mm-hmm.
We partnered with a company called Farm to People as well to move through some of our perishable inventory. And so they were kind enough to put us on their website, and we were able to move some through a couple $1,000s worth of product a week that way. And then the third avenue took a little bit longer, but in the last couple of weeks, we've launched an e-commerce experience. And that's obviously a business in and of itself. And so just launching that in time for Mother's Day, having a couple $1,000s come in from e-commerce, but also viewing it as a capability. We can publish cards in our app such that people can understand why we're curating the product we are, and very much emphasize an editorialization experience as part of it. Like, these aren't just random products that we're picking out of thin air. It's, a lot of thought goes into the products we select, just like the content we select. And so our thought kind of is part of engagement and connecting people. People are more likely to continue to coming back knowing there's going to be some freshness with new product and some, little bit of storytelling behind it, but also, they get points every time they click something. They're getting a point, and those points turn into dollars over time.
So you're incentivizing people, from the start to interact with your app, and that incentivization is kind of continuing and maybe becoming more valuable. Yeah, I mean, and what I think is really interesting about your initial shift to care packages is, if we take a step back, like, the convenience stores, they provide a functional benefit as, you can grab something on the go, or, maybe your content is to be used during downtime. But, there's also this emotional benefit of, maybe you need a pick-me-up in the middle of the afternoon, and that's why you go to a newsstand.
Yep.
So what I think is really interesting is looking at that emotional benefit that you were providing to people and saying, how do we still make that emotional benefit happen without the physical store? And that comes into your care packages, right? Like, you still have a capability of being able to curate unique items or things that people are going to like. And then, you just look for, it sounds like a new distribution mechanism, right? To
Definitely.
take to people.
It becomes a new distribution mechanism, a new way for them to view our place in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other products that we've recently released that will become a bigger part of our ecosystem, in the vein of connecting people, is polling. So in-app polling. I think when you think of community, Instagram has this, other companies have this, but ultimately being able to ask people, what's, of the following cocktails, what's your favorite, what's your favorite day of the week, things like that, where you actually want to know what other people say. And if you start to productize that and have that become part of your ecosystem, people want to know where their opinion stack ranks versus the other people in the ecosystem. So I think as you think about how a tool like that could interface alongside care packages and the editorialization strategy and partnering with brands, there's a lot of opportunity there, even from a digital standpoint, to continue this kind of day improvement ecosystem where people feel a little bit connected. And I think that's something, even as, we return to whatever the new normal is, this can still be a capability in our arsenal, and hopefully be something that, companies, brands are attracted to partnering with us on.
Yeah, I mean, what I think is interesting is you're positioning yourself to get a lot of very meaningful data about the people using your app. And then, I mean, you're talking about productizing it, and, there's ways to monetize it. But at the end of the day, it'll also allow you to serve the people that are within your community much better than you are right now, because you know what their favorite day is, or what cocktail there is, or things like that.
Yeah. We know all that. I think the one thing I'll just be careful to say is we anonymize everything. So we're never selling or sharing data, but at the same time, being able to package that up and stack rank groups of people and understand, people in this geography might behave or have feelings about products like this versus others really like margaritas. It is what it is, but I think it's all interesting to people. And when you pair that with the content that our editorial team does a tremendous job of curating already, it starts to create a little bit more of a pull into our ecosystem that people didn't maybe have before. And especially when people are on home and getting a lot more screen time in, we think that could be pretty powerful.
Yeah, I mean, just taking a step back, I mean, what I like about what you've mentioned over time is you had your initial business model, and then, as things change, you shifted, how you delivered your business model, but the model is still functionally
the model's still the model.
Yeah, the model's still the model, right? It's just different how you're doing it. And now it feels like when it comes to network effects, and when it comes to being able to leverage the network you're building, looking towards the future, you could become even more powerful.
Yeah.
And it kind of leads me to kind of my last question. if we think about innovation and strategy and how to shift the company over time, you have you have the challenge of, maintaining your current business and keeping
Yep.
cash flow strong. But then you have to look towards what are we going to do differently in the future and what are we going to leave behind from the past.
Yep.
Have you gotten to the stage? Are there things where you guys are saying, yeah, like this is maybe something we had not anticipated, or maybe we're accelerating more towards the future because of this?
Yep.
I'm curious what that is. I'm also curious, is there something that you guys have said maybe we can leave behind now because it's not as important as we thought it was, 8 weeks ago?
Yeah. I think that's evolving as well, as most things are. For the most part, I'd say our model's still the model, which, I think the way we like to think of it is this ecosystem where you could think of, one thing that we have, even prior to COVID, placed an emphasis on is finding more of these multi-purpose facilities like Brookfield Place in New York, where people go there from a mall perspective, but if it's also an office lobby, and it becomes a venue from which we can actually reach companies upstairs. So enterprise overall has been something that we've been focused on expanding into further. We're lucky and fortunate enough to have a really strong partnership with Brookfield Properties and have a lot of opportunities that are on the horizon there. But ultimately, I think, everything we do is going to be pointed at how do we leverage the office and the kind of sub ecosystem in there to focus on shopping, meeting of the avenue upstairs to employers, but all the while knowing, you might work upstairs, you might come downstairs to purchase your greeting cards, but you might start to be remote 3 days a week. Can care packages be something that replaces a snack program ultimately, and that gets sent to your home if you become more of a remote employee? I think those are all on the horizon. And then in terms of moving away from things, I think we are taking a hard look at locations that didn't necessarily fit that model as much. So, when I first joined the company, I think we had a lot of extraneous locations where we were just trying to build the ecosystem and familiarize people with the NewStand platform. Since then, even prior to this, we've closed some of those. But even taking a harder look at those, like, do all those leases make sense? We're fortunate to have a lot of very good rent terms that are rev share based that make our model more attractive.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, I think we want to be able to continue to onboard more users, but do it in big chunks where there's, a little bit of upside as you start to think about enterprise, because you can do it in big chunks. So, would we have done anything differently? I'm not sure we would have. We've been able to launch a lot of very meaningful, what I'll continue to call capabilities that just further add muscle to our ecosystem. But I think it has forced us to take a hard look at how we spend our time, where we spend our time. Are we still focused on the right things? And I think that's going to continue to evolve from week to week, depending on how long this lasts.
Yeah, totally. I think everything you're saying makes a lot of sense to me. And I think what's so powerful about, some of the stories you've shared is you guys really maintained, use this last 8 weeks to just stay very focused on, not shifting your business model, but understanding how do you make your business model stronger within the current environment. And, the choices you're making are allowing you to be even smarter moving towards the future.
Definitely.
Well, yeah, that's great. Well, I appreciate you being here with me and just taking 15 minutes to talk.
Here.
That's right. I'm here in Cincinnati. You're at a lake, so I think I'm a little jealous of you, but I'll get over it.
I'm next to a space heater, if that helps. There's no heat. There's no heating in this cabin.
Don't be jealous. Well, last thing, I'll give you an option for a shameless plug for NewStand. So if somebody wants to find care packages or somebody wants to get hooked into your community, how do they do that?
Yeah, I mean, our app store, whether it's Android or Apple, you can access the NewStand app there. I definitely encourage you to download it. It's exciting content, and like I said, with polling and our new e-commerce capability, you'll start to see, a stuff we love column coming soon that it features some curated products, and then that also is your outlet into accessing the team care packages we sell. So.
The care packages for teams are also accessed through the app as well.
You can find it in the app or at shop.newstand.com.
Shop.newstand.com. Okay. Well, awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Ben, for being a part of this. Really loved your insights and just very excited to see where you guys continue to go from here.
Awesome talking with you, Ken. Thank you.